Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube land. I am rebuilding the front suspension on this Courier. I went ahead and did the other side off camera so I could film this side. I cut this much off of the front coil. I reckon that's about 2.5-ish inches. So now we're gonna do the other side. It's hotter than 2 hot dogs outside, and I'm already disgusting and sweaty and gross. But we're gonna pull this wheel off and then dig in. Yes, I'm using non-impact sockets on an impact. Don't judge me until you've walked a mile in my shoes. Oh, it helps when it's plugged in. Okay, so I got my freshly rebuilt brake caliper here. So I do need a pair of needle nose, but we'll get there when we get there. So over on the other side, I did this a little bit weird because I was just trying to figure out the best order to do everything. But first step is to remove this brake caliper, and then I'm just sitting it on this tire. The tire is also adding an extra level of safety. And then there's one more bolt back here, down at the bottom. Alright, got those bolts off. Sitting it on the tire to not add a bunch of extra tension to that brake line. That's a brand new brake line there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put these bolts back in place. And then I'm going to remove this tie rod, which is also a 17mm. And then I'm going to go ahead and put some lube on the upper ball joints and the lower ball joints, and the castle nuts, the shock mounts. Probably have to cut the top of the shock like I did last time. Everybody gets some lube. Right, this, I guess you'd call it the sway bar end link. It's 14mm, and then you need to put one on the bottom as well, because it'll twist on you if you don't. So what I might do, actually, I'm going to use an impact. I think this will work. No, I don't have enough room, so let's try something different. This time I'm gonna put the socket on the bottom. Yeah, something. I don't know yet. It sucks. It sucked. This was probably the worst part on the other side. Well, I broke it. So we'll just pretend that that didn't happen and we just won't have a sway bar, I guess. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna pop this sway bar off. Well, I guess I'm not. I guess I gotta drop the upper ball joint, get the spindle off. Yeah, okay. We'll do that next. These are 12 millimeter, and then you gotta get a 12 millimeter up in the bottom too. I'm sure I probably don't have another 12 millimeter on me. So let me grab one of those. I had one the whole time. The kits that I bought, they've got new bolts for the bottom ball joints, but not the tops. So make sure we keep track of these. Okay, this has like a bushing, not a bushing, like a bump stop. So there's no bolt on the bottom of this one. The bump stop kind of helps keep it in place. See if this works. I can't remember exactly what I did here. There it goes. So, here. This is what I'm talking about. It's like a bump stop sort of kind of thingy. And okay, so now I think I'm gonna go ahead and, well, I need to drop this. And then I need to remove the shock before I can get the spring out, because that's kind of like what's holding it in place. And then I'll go ahead and remove the lower ball joint and then put everything back together. All right. So there's two 12 millimeter bolts holding the bottom of this shock in. So we're going to go ahead and get those out of the way. And then I'm going to put a ratchet strap around this spring. That's what I did on the other side. Let's see. There wasn't a ton of tension on this, but better safe than sorry, you know? That'll work. I just want to not die, you know? It doesn't have to be anything too crazy. Dang, rubber's harder than the metal. Yeah, there's a ton of tension on that spring still. So let's get the heck out of the way. And then I'll get off to the side and pry it off. There we go. Okay, this is all jammed up in itself, so I think I'm gonna have to cut this shock, but I can't reach it, so no, can't do that. It's caught down in here, so I don't know. I think it might help. Go ahead and remove this lower ball joint, get it up out of the way, and then maybe I can, yeah, we'll do that. All right, I'm gonna use an impact again. Got him. Gonna have to breaker bar this. Can't get the impact on it. course, my jack stand is kind of in the way. Man, I'll tell you what, this shock being bound up in here has got us all kinds of bound up. I can't get this lower ball joint out. The top of the shock is wedged up in this like housing. So I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I feel like I need to like cut it, because I don't even think I can get anything up in here. Maybe I can beat on the shock to get it to scoot back. See if I can get this up on this shit. All right, got that lower ball joint and spindle out of the way. This is still stuck, and I can't get the spring out until I get the shock out. But maybe I can jack up this lower control arm. And then I need to get this shock back to its home. So I can get slack off of it. Yep. Almost. There we go. Okay. So let's get up out of the way. And then there we go. Finally. All right, so I got to get these bolts out of here now. So that's great. And then I have to find other bolts that fit, or I can't put these shocks back in. So let's try and figure that out. All right, the first thing I'm gonna try is just put some slits in these. Try to use a flathead to get them out. And then I'll grab a flathead. All right, I got my little Ryobi impact here. Nope. Just broke the head of the bolt, and it also broke my flathead, so that's great. All right. Let me do some thinking. Okay, got a hole through that one. Hopefully I have a tap that'll fit this. All right, guys. Okay, guys. Well, Sometimes you do the whipping and sometimes it whips you. I drilled these out and then I tried to re-tap them, but I don't have the right size taps. So tomorrow I'm going to go to O'Reilly or Home Depot or something, and I'm going to buy 2 nuts and 2 bolts, and I'm going to weld the nuts to the top of these nuts. I think that's going to be the easiest thing to do, except unless I buy a whole new lower control arm. So, alright, well, I look like the Terminator. I mean, Arnold in The Predator. So, I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning. It's time to finish our suspension dropping ball joint, upper and lower ball joint installation process. Let's go. These nuts, remember the bolts, I had to drill it out. So I went and I got myself some 3 or 5/16 nuts and bolts. They fit up this way. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to clean off these, the factory nuts that have the hole drilled out, and then I'm going to just tack these on. So I don't have to tack them, but when you put the shock assembly and everything back up together and everything, you're basically like wiggle wobbling the nut back in to hold the shock in. So I think it'll just be way easier to tack them in than it will be to try to get a wrench or a socket or whatever in here to tighten that nut in. So I got the old titanium flux core welder. I'm just gonna yeah, there we go. All right, that'll work enough to make it work. All right, I'm about to whip this thing. Oh. Now we gotta get the upper and lower ball joints out of this, I guess you'd call it the knuckle. So I'm guessing this is probably a 17 millimeter, like the tie rods. Oh yeah, there's cotter pins in there too. She's bigger than 19, and this one is smaller than 19. What size we got here? 21? Oh, you fell down. I got the upper ball joint out. I think if I remember correctly, the bottom one actually, or the lower one actually came out easier. All right, on that one, pretty much popped right out. I just beat on the top of the bolt. Look how, oh gosh, look how sweaty I am. I hope you can see all that sweat dripping off my face. Okay, so I guess we'll clean this up a little bit. Safety goggles, glovies. I need another glovey. Where's my other glovey at? Alright, so I already cut the one side, so I'm just gonna match it up to that. I probably cut too much, but I don't really know yet. but it'll work. It'll work, or I'll have to make it work. So it'd be about here, I'll bring you in and show you. All right, so I cut, I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do this. I know there's a million different ways to cut springs. We're not doing science. So I cut even with the bottom, so it indexes basically kind of the same, and it seemed to work out pretty well on the other side. And then I'm cutting it basically kind of at the same angle as this bottom piece. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut it with the wheel. Hell yeah. I can't remember my order of operations. I think I put the lower ball joint in the lower control arm. Yeah, I think the move is to go ahead and install the ball joints, and then mount up the shock and the spring, and then that'll also give the shock a minute to cool because it's hotter than 2 hot dogs. So I guess we'll go ahead and get the upper and the lower ball joint put back together now. All right, I torqued this down to tight as hell. I'll grease it after we get everything put back together. So now it's time to tackle this. Well, I'm kind of bummed because the other side came with new hardware. So I gotta use this crappy rusty stuff. And on the other side too, I was able to eliminate this bump stop, which I'll still be able to do because I have the screw or the bolts and the nuts from the other side, but I'm not very excited to use this old crusty hardware, but you know, it is what it is. Yep. So these feed up from this way. I'm trying to do this one-handed and that's impossible. Stay still. And then they got a little locking nut. And then my rusty bolts, nuts. Locking washer. Yeah, these friggin' nuts are so gummed up. Last one. Torquing it to tight as hell. There we go. Cool. Okay. So that's laced up. So now it's the worst part of the process. We gotta get this shock and spring in. So I got my brand new old stock Monroe shock that they actually had in stock at Napa somehow. And this is the worst part. Okay, so now I gotta drop the arm to get that to index. And then I think I used like a screwdriver to bend these, you know, so the holes lined up. And then I also think I had to kind of like beat on it with a hammer and stuff to get everything to line up correctly. All right. Okay, I got this side in. And then this one, I think I've also got it in. I tapped, yep, there it comes. My tack broke, but I hit it with a hammer to move it over a little bit. But the tacks, it doesn't have to be there, you know what I mean? And I guess I could just zap it again before I continue. So I'm gonna put the upper control arm in first. What size is this? Is it a 14? No, it's a 17. Go ahead and get my ratchet ready. And then, or should I put the lower? I'm gonna do the lower one first. I think that'll be easier. All right, found my cotter pins. Gotta get the tie rod back in. All right, I need to do something about this sway bar end length. All right, I guess I could just not have a sway bar. Let's. Yeah, I'm not getting that back under there. All right. Let's get the dang brake caliper back on. Okay, no big deal. I just had to kind of take this apart and put it back together. I need to do something that's hard to explain, so I'm just not gonna tell you about it. I should have replaced that wheel stud, but I didn't. Come on. Okay, forward. Are you on there? All right, here we go. Are we gonna rub? Yeah, I think we're gonna rub. Look at that. Now I'm gonna lower the back 2 more inches, and I think that'll be looking hot far. Okay, I'm gonna clean up my mess, and then I got quite the mess, and then I've got about 3 hours before I need to go to work, so I think I'm gonna try to get those lowering blocks in. So let me clean up first, and then I'll just do one side. I'm not gonna do both sides on camera. Okay, I got the wheel off. That's not that exciting. Tires off. The truck is jacked up in the air. I think I just need to jack up the axle. I think it's going to be the easiest way to do that, so I'm going to pull that other jack back here and do that. Okay. Got that up out of the way. I got the jack under there. It might have been easier to jack it up on this now that I think about it, but I kind of also think that maybe I'm too late for that, so I will figure it out. All right, let's see what happens here. If I lower it and then I bring it over here, there we go. Alright, I think I'm good there. Oh yeah, they've even got the pinion angle droop on them. So that's tight. I don't remember what I said, but yeah, the tall end goes in the back. So I gotta lift this rear end up a little bit more. Gotta move myself here. I can't quite clear it. This thing's gonna be slammed. All right, now you gotta do the fine thread shuffle for 10 minutes. I got her tightened up. Cool. So I guess I should go ahead and chop these bolts. All right. We did it. Let's get the tire back on. I'm gonna do the other side off camera, and then we're gonna pull this thing out of the garage and take a look-see at how slammed, how nice and low ski it is. So all right, let's get this tire back on and do the other side real quick. Get my jack stand out. Let's see what this thing does. Yep. Heck yeah. Well, that's going to be it for this episode. I'm so stoked on how this thing looks. Thanks for watching. Check out the merch store if you haven't already. If you've been watching for a while and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It doesn't cost a dime and it helps me out a lot to keep doing this. Thanks so much for the support. We'll see you next time, and we're going to keep figuring it out.